I'm trying to be great, and I'm on my way. Way up, way up, way up. It's never too late, and I'm on my way.
I'ma leave my mark. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Ready, set.
With so much negativity being yielded at the youth of our nation, it seems hard to find any signs of a bright future. Coming from a legendary past, the new generation of Bahamians seek to take this nation to heights it's never seen. That's where the youth perspective comes in. We seek to display tomorrow's leaders in every facet of society. Each show will focus on today's pace setters, trendsetters, movers and shakers, and the next generation of great, impactful Bahamians. We seek to uplift, motivate, and encourage our listeners. Tune in as we address issues of importance with wisdom and intelligence, all from the youth perspective. And we're back. Welcome to another edition of The Youth Perspective. Yours truly, Keshagen, Adderley, in your company. All right. And of course, season 5 of The Youth Perspective. And we do this each and every Saturday night. And of course, thank you so much for listening into the station that you're listening into right now. All right. And of course, we have a great show lined up for you. Been doing a few different episodes and giving you a different flavor from a different set of persons. And don't forget, The Youth Perspective is all about showcasing the youth of our nation and really shining a spotlight on young people just doing incredible things in all facets of society. All right. And so we have 2 wonderful women joining us on this edition of The Youth Perspective. It's going to be great. So just sit back, relax, and of course, find a comfy spot and turn up your radios. All right. And so, of course, first we have joining us Dr. Kitty Adderley. She's the Adderley, so she's cool with me. Also, we have the one and only Erin Brown, a Paralympian. All right. And so we're going to find out all about that great stuff and going to let you know. All right. So good evening, ladies. How y'all doing?
We're well, thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. We are amazing.
Yes, it's so great to have you both joining me on this edition of The Youth Perspective. As we talk about physical fitness, it's the summertime, getting up, getting out there, and of course, as we talk about just moving those bodies, because sometimes, the current go off and stuff like that. You just sit inside and, just kind of go sleep.
I don't know who wants to stay inside when the current go off, but I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. So as we start, before we get into all that other stuff, just tell us a little bit about you both, so that persons out there who might not be familiar with you could be a little bit more familiar with you before we get in that conversation.
Okay. Well, like you mentioned, my name is Dr. Kitty Adderley. I'm a physical therapist. Been a physical therapist for 19 years. I'm a senior physical therapist and owner of Handling Your Health, Wellness, and Rehab. But today I sit in this seat in the capacity of lead for physical activity for all ages, which is a subcommittee of the Healthy Bahamas Coalition. And what the Healthy Bahamas Coalition is a group that was formed in 2015 to serve and help the country deal with the challenges of non-communicable diseases. And so we're talking about hypertension, diabetes, cancer, diseases that may derive from alcoholism, smoking, and we're tackling different areas of the country, different areas of different issues, health issues, to see how we can make a dent and make positive changes in the overall health of our country.
And of course, we're going to be doing a lot more shows with the coalition too, that we can make sure that we are getting a healthy Bahamas, because of course we have persons all over the islands listening in, South Florida, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos, and of course we're listened to by a tremendous amount of people. And so it's really time to get our nation more healthier, get us moving, and we're going to talk a little bit about obesity, and we're going to talk about all that good stuff. So of course, our Paralympian, let's talk to you, and let's tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Good evening. My name is Erin Brown, and I am with Erin Brown Connects. And that speaks to disability advocacy and disability inclusion management. Now, we're speaking about physical literacy, and you've heard that I am a Paralympian. And in the discipline of the triathlon, which is swimming, cycling, and running, I am currently training to represent the Bahamas in Paralympics in 2020 Paralympics in Tokyo.
Wow.
So at this time, I am the first para-triathlete in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Wow, and you're on my show. My God, I feel so blessed.
I am debuting on your show.
Right.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be here to speak tonight, especially with the youth perspective.
Yeah.
And what is important for me is when it comes to youth is the representation.
Right.
I know a lot of you may have never heard of the Paralympics or Paralympian, or even the fact that me as an amputee, also known as a limb difference individual, I walk with a prosthetic leg. My leg was removed from cancer, and I am still an athlete. I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm an advocate. I'm a speaker. I'm still a mother.
Right.
And so tonight we want to definitely share with you that physical fitness, physical literacy is for everyone.
Everybody, yeah. Now let's start this conversation off because I often hear some just people say weird things. All right, people want to start moving, they want to start exercising, but they're out there, they're sweating, they're exercising every day, and they don't lose a pound, right? And then some persons, it's their diet, and so they may try and cut back on a few things, but they don't really see anything happen. All right, they kind of stay the same size and stuff like that, and some persons just have this weird thing with something's gonna take you. So I might as well eat how I feel like and, not really exercise like that. So let's start the conversation off there. How do persons get started moving? How do they get started just making the transition to change their habits as we talk about healthy habits?
Well, I mean, you said a mouthful, right? And so we're talking about physical activity. Let's just start with physical activity first. Physical activity is movement, any type of movement. And what's so important is that we're not moving enough. Right? You mentioned I don't lose a pound, but weight loss is just one small section of what physical activity is all about. Okay. We know the health benefits. We've studied the health benefits. Science has revealed the health benefits of being physically active. We know that it can prevent, or it can change, or it can reduce, or put diseases in remission like diabetes. If you have heart disease, high blood pressure, we know that it has positive effects with fighting cancer, positive effects with fighting other autoimmune diseases. And so weight loss is just one thing. We want a healthier heart. We want stronger muscles. We want stronger bones. We want better blood values in terms of blood sugar levels, blood cholesterol levels. And so let's not just look at losing weight. Let's look at it as gaining health, right? And so, like you said, we just move. So WHO, the World Health Organization, they have stated in their guidelines that everybody should have at least 150 minutes of exercise per week.
Okay.
Now, if you want to do that 30 minutes a day, if you want to do it 150 3 times a day, well, 150 once a day. But the thing is, we know that regular, continuous exercise is what's the benefit for us. So we just need somebody to get up and move and just start the process.
Yeah. And it was interesting is that there is, and I sound like an advocate, there is this new park, right? That just opened up in Silver Gates, all right? And I have been telling everybody that I can find about this park because it's just so amazing. And what the government did is that they put this track in that's like, I don't want to give it the wrong name, but it's like almost like a shock resistant track in a sense. Like, yeah, it's like almost like a foamy type of track. And so for those who have, the knees ain't too good, when you walk on it, it feels like so good. It's like better than walking on concrete and cement and stuff like that. And so I think that even the government at large and persons in that field is even moving toward helping Bahamians and persons that visit the country to be more healthy. We're seeing more of the parks with the apparatus on them so that persons can exercise. So if you don't have the money for the gym, you could go. And then, of course, we got like a million beaches, that you could go and walk on.
Right. So the evidence is there. Everybody is saying physical activity. We were a very physically active nation 30, 40 years ago, maybe even up to 20 years ago. We walked everywhere. Kids were outside playing. Our kids don't play much anymore. And this is why we're really here to stress the fact that we want our youth to become more active. Because what we're seeing is early onset diabetes. We're seeing children with hypertension, high cholesterol issues, the obesity epidemic in our youth. I mean, we can't deny it, right? And so before we get sick, injured, painful knees, let's get our kids exercising again. Let's get them from in front of the laptops, the desktops, the tablets. Let's get them outside even more, right? before, growing up, we had to stay outside until the sun came down.
Wow.
Right? You ran outside, you played in the yard, you jumped, you hopped, you skipped. You had this level of understanding, you had this level of competency. But now kids are kept inside for various reasons. Lack of supervision. Sometimes we have changes in the way people approach our children. So you have to be protective.
Definitely.
But we need to start encouraging that more. I don't want to knock the games because I know we have gamers out there.
Yeah, definitely.
But we remember there was a big push for Wi-Fi and Connects and all those other games that had you stand up and be more interactive with the games. We need to encourage our children to do that more so they can be more physically active and fight against all of these non-communicable diseases that we see rising in our youth population.
Yeah, and I think too that it helps, that parents. We do it as a family.
Right.
We go out and we walk as a family. I remember my dad would always talk about, when they were growing up and, he would walk from Enos Jumper Corner all the way to Government High. And, this was kind of things that they used to do back in the day.
And it was
I guess,
fun.
Yeah, it was, I guess so. He never told me it was fun, but I mean, it was just what they did. But I guess maybe, as society moves forward, we get cars, we get, there's more mobility. Maybe the physical activity maybe declines a little bit. And so I want to bring you in, Aaron, at this point, as we talk about persons who are limb different, and how do you approach physical activity from either persons with one limb or two limbs or,
Yeah. Well, what I would like to add to the conversation, especially about the new park,
It's a wonderful park.
that texture that you're speaking about, that ground, that's also great for wheelchair users.
Okay, nice.
So persons who are definitely interested in getting some fresh air, getting out, taking your family out now, having more family moments together, they can go around those circles with more ease now. All right, so the wonderful thing that you're speaking about when you're referring to the park, it sounds like the park is a very accessible place for persons who are using wheelchairs. They can go out with their families, have more family time. And for me, when I'm thinking about physical activities, we have a stigma when it comes to disability that when you become a person living with one, you therefore have no more ideals, goals. There's nothing else that's going to happen for you in life. And physical activity is definitely one of the things you must maintain. Your body is a muscle, and regardless of what may have transpired or you may have been born that way, you still have to remain active in all in for the ability to be successful or to even thrive in life. For me, I've been an amputee or a limb difference individual for 15 years now due to bone cancer. So I was well in my 20s when I was diagnosed. But I grew up, when I heard you spoke about your father and that long walk, I sure you were saying, what is wrong with this man? Why is he, what are we doing? But I grew up in Grand Bahama, and me and my mother, we had bikes. We rode all downtown. We lived in Seahorse Village, and we rode downtown. And I used to pass my friends in the car, and they're looking at me like, girl, you want a bike? Like when I see them in school the next week, they're like, why were you and your mom? But because my mom was interested and always passionate about staying active. So we as parents even have to, and I didn't think we were weird. I enjoyed the fact that we cycled. And so what that implanted in me, even becoming a person living with a disability, I am still an active individual that find ways to remain active. Because even if you don't have parks and then you have the beach or you have access to a pool, there are ways and there are things that you can do. Instead of while you're watching your television, your favorite show, you can exercise during the commercials. You have to become a creative individual that is so important to you of your health that no matter what happens, you are going to be an active individual. So standing and having this conversation from a youth perspective, I know we like the trends and we wanna be known for this and known for that, but what had sustained me and continues to sustain me is the more you get out there, the more you learn, the more persons you meet, the more opportunities you will garner. If you stay home and you just complain and say all the things that you don't have, it will remain. But if you get out there and you meet persons, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. Yeah. I wear a prosthetic leg, so some may have seen me, or if you're on social media, Erin Brown Connects, if you go to that on Instagram or on Facebook, you will see me with a prosthetic leg, in a wheelchair sometimes, or using a pair of crutches. And that is because I have chosen this lifetime, as long as I have breath, that I am going to continue to move by any means necessary. Right. And I'm a mother. I have a 15-year-old and a 3-year-old. And if you think you sitting there saying, I feel like doing nothing, when you trying to get your parents to move and they won't move, what you do? You just go out, call a friend, let's go walking somewhere, or let's just go sit outside. Right. Do not hold any excuses for yourself to get out there and move, because the possibilities are endless.
I'm telling you. I want to touch on, okay, you want to go ahead? You want to jump on that?
Yeah, I definitely want to jump on that, because this is why I'm so passionate as a physical therapist, because my whole function in life is to make sure other people function. So as Erin talks about people that have physical challenges, this is why it's so near and dear to my heart. And I was so excited when she decided to join the team, because we're so busy talking about physical activity for able-bodied people. We didn't consider, or we weren't giving that much attention to the ones that had challenges, right? And so we understand that there's a gap. And one of the things that we want to do with the Physical Activity for All Committee for the HBC is to create avenues and opportunities to educate the public. So yes, if you have a child that's born with cerebral palsy or spina bifida that may not move like a normal able-bodied child, and I use normal very loosely, right? Where we have these areas, these opportunities, these seminars available where we're going to talk more about it. But we're talking about the youth. We also want to keep the youth healthy so that they age very well and they won't be our disabled older people, right? Because you're talking about bad knees. When did the knee get bad, right? Most people don't have an incident of trauma. This is just because they didn't take care of themselves when they're younger. And then also, as we speak about non-communicable diseases, we see the manifestation of cancer. We've seen the manifestation of hypertension that can cause strokes, that leaves somebody disabled sometimes, depending on the severity of the stroke, but also the manifestation of people with diabetes that may lose a limb to a diabetic episode, right? So this is why we're really, really pushing physical activity for all, and understanding that you do have health professionals like your physical therapist there to guide you, to give the advice to get back into or get into a good physical activity program.
You know what? It's like reading a book. You know, it's like eating vegetables. We don't do it. We don't like to do it, but we must do it.
Right.
For not even a better future, but just a better today.
You only have one body.
You only have one body.
So whilst you're young and you're listening to my voice right now, take care of this one body. You can't trade it in, right? We still have it. We're doing stem cell research. We're growing hairs and we're growing teeth, but we're not growing back a whole body. No. And if you can do what you can do now to stay healthy, to stay fit, and it's not just about the weight. I want people to understand that. You want to have a healthy environment to live in, and that's your body first and foremost. So young people, please take care of your body. Stay physically active.
Go ahead.
And if I can add, I want to encourage all of you who are living with disabilities. We hear the word disability and we cringe sometimes, or we hide, and we feel that it's a negative connotation. It is not. I am a proud disabled person, and a lot of times I want to just clarify some terms that you may have heard, because when you hear able-bodied, I know a lot of us feel like, well, I'm able-bodied, and you're right. Living with a disability, you are able-bodied, and so persons who are not are non-disabled persons. And so when you hear someone speaking about you living with a disability, know that you as a person comes first. And you are the representation of how persons will treat you and how you think about yourself. And so I want you to really sit down when you're listening to this, because I know the representation for youth living with disabilities are not very, very high. You don't normally see it. You don't see persons who are homegrown or are natives that are doing amazing things, but they do exactly exist. And I dare to say you are one of those persons. And it is now time, because all of these programming of physical literacy for all, of organizations like Aaron Brown Connects and all of these NGOs, we are here to help you thrive. We are here to give you that voice. We are here to get you out there and moving and being that representation that we absolutely lack. And so I want to encourage you tonight, as you listen to this, think about those things that you've always dreamt about doing. Everywhere that you want to go, all of the careers that you want to head towards, you have the ability to do all of it, every last ounce of it, but it starts with a healthy body and a healthy mind. And even though your body is unique, everyone's body is unique.
Right.
You now have to learn how your body moves and how you can get it to move better so that you can do exactly what you want to do.
There's two things I want to touch on in this last few minutes we have. I want to talk about stress. Because I know that it's not something that you can really see per se, but a lot of persons in our nation deal with stress. When they look at their bills, they deal with stress. Sometimes when they look at their kids, they're dealing with stress. They jump in their car, they're dealing with stress. And what I found is, just getting out there, doing like a little 20-minute walk. It just everything just falls off you. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, you still have to go back to some of the things.
Yes.
But you have some time to just have a free flow of just thinking, of just peace. You just out there in the park or you by the beach and you just smelling the fresh air and the sea breeze. And, it really does do wonders if you're dealing with stress right now.
Well, what I can give you, the best kept secret, if you did not know, your breath.
Your breath, okay.
Your breath, inhaling and exhaling,
very nice,
is the best stress reliever that we all have. That is free 99. And what happens is, if you notice when you're upset, your breath becomes very short. You start going like this, and you're not really thinking. You're depriving your body with a lot of with oxygen, so everything tends to feel more intense. But if you make a conscious effort to now say, okay, I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to breathe out. That same notion that count to 10 before you say or do anything. It literally can help you once you start to recognize your breath. If you and I know we love to Google how many breaths that you take in a lifetime. And you would be surprised the amount of breaths that you take in. Another thing that I want to remind you is we live in the most beautiful place in the world that people save their lunch money. They save their paychecks for months to come and visit for 2 to 3 days at a time. You have that outside of your door. Go and get wet. Go and sit on the beach. Enjoy the breezes. Enjoy the fact that you are placed on this earth specifically for a purpose. And that purpose comes with stress. Yeah. But that stress is your portal to your greatness. So you have to start somewhere. And your breath is the best place to start.
Wow, and you talked about stress, right? And we talked about the benefits of physical activity, physical exercise. So a lot of times we just think of it as being very physical, how it manifests in the body. But mentally, we know that when you exercise, when you have physical activity, your body releases endorphins. Those are your happy drugs. This is why you feel so good after you start exercising. Once you start getting those muscles going, those hormones start getting released, you get happy. Stress comes off of you, and this is why they're now advertising or prescribing, I should say, physical activity, prescribed physical exercise prescriptions to tackle certain things that are presenting. Not only that, when they did the research, they found that children that were more physically active in high school and in primary school had better performances, because what it also did is it stimulated their brain activity. Right. So they were able to concentrate better once they got that extra activity in. So there are multiple benefits to physical activity. It's a holistic approach, not just to how does my body look? My blood pressure's down, but my mind, where is my mind? Good. And in my cognitive skills. And then just to know, it boosts your mood because you know that you need to be physically active. And now when I'm actually engaging in that, I know I'm doing something to take care of me. And so that in itself is a stress reliever. Yeah.
I mean, even though it's Saturday evening right now, Sunday, I'm going to go on my nice, a nice walk. Maybe go for a swim. and enjoy myself. Y'all got me excited. I'm ready to go on a walk right now. Now this is on a little different tangent, and I think we could have a whole show talking about mental health and you know, just that side of things is in the emotional side as well. We could have a whole show on that.
Yes.
But I wanted to touch on from your side, Aaron, for persons who and this is a pet peeve of mine, persons who park in the handicap
the
spot.
hot button, the hot seat.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we're talking about physical activity, and so this is a little veil. But since I have you here in front of me,
hey, you got me.
I know for me and my wife, when we see it, and obviously, you know, it's always the best spot in the parking lot. It's the one closest to the door. It's the one closest to the door. But we don't do it because, you know, we're not handicapped.
Yes.
You know, and we believe that, you know, if persons are out there and that is prescribed for them, then allow them to have that.
Yes.
You know, and of course, you know, you wouldn't do it in the States. For sure.
Well, you know, that's the term we like to say. I call this the hot seat issue that we love to speak about when we speak about disability is disabled parking. And the whole purpose of disabled parking, it is the purpose of it and the reason why it's at the door is for persons because of the limited mobility or because of the need to be as closest to the entrance. So if you have a disabled parking spot that is 5 spots down, it's not a disabled parking spot even though it's blue. Okay, the whole purpose of a disabled parking spot is to be closest to the entrance of that establishment, that building. And then it has to be wide enough to also include persons using a wheelchair. So the door has to open, the wheelchair needs to be out. So the extra lines that you do see is not another parking spot. It is actually there for persons using wheelchairs, service dogs. It gives them room to turn. And then after that, then there's the ramp to get into the building. Now, we find that persons like to say, I'm just running in. I'm just going to be quick. I just need to use this spot. Disabled people don't use it anyway. Why do we have it there? And it is not just a convenience. It's a right. It is a right for persons living with disability to have accessibility when they are making their runs in transportation, where they're doing their daily routines, that it is a right by law that they have. So when you park there in the blue spot and then you're argumentative, you're defensive, you're saying to me who has a decal, I can't park there because I just felt like running in. We need to have an inner conversation. Why was it okay for me to park in this spot knowing fully well that the purpose of it is to assist or be accessible for another human being who wants to do the same thing that I'm doing. They just have to do it in a different way. And so I encourage persons, we don't need to fight. We don't need to cuss. We don't need to get out of order. But when you pull into that spot, even if you're having a rush day, think about the person you are inconveniencing. Because there's usually one spot or no spot. And many times when I pull into places and I see someone there, I park somewhere else. Why do I park somewhere else? Because this is the day that I don't feel like having the argument with somebody. Now, other days, I will pull behind you. And I will put my car in park, and I will go into the store with you. And now you're out there and you're blocked in, and now you're upset. And you're saying, who is this person parked behind me? And then I go, that's me, and I'll be done in a minute. Because at the end of the day, you are now sitting there being upset for something that you did that was unnecessary. Blocking someone that needed that spot. But it's okay. We're all getting our stuff done today. Right. And so it's different ways that you would want to address it, but I encourage persons. Disability rights are human rights. We are no different from you other than we do things differently just like you. We're all differently able. We are all of us are differently abled. So let's treat each other as such in a human fashion.
I love it. All right, now before we go, closing words, any closing comments as we get back on topic now, but I had to put that in. I had to make sure we said that during the show, as we talked about obesity in the country, as we talked about physical activity at work, at home. We talked about all the benefits, not just looking slim and trim, but, also a better mental frame, a better emotional frame from getting out there, exercising, moving, releasing those endorphins. Any closing comments you ladies want to leave with the listening audience?
Okay, I would like to encourage all persons living with disabilities that this is about your health. And if we do not stand and speak up for ourselves, we then cannot encourage or inspire others to join us to do exactly that. There are resources, there are opportunities out there for us, but we're not going to be able to access them if we stay home and we complain. Use your social media as a way to connect with persons. We do know it's difficult sometimes to get around because you're dependent on others, and especially being a youth. If you ain't catching the bus, ain't nothing really happening for you unless someone come for you. So I would like to encourage you to use social media to find out the opportunities that are out there, and use the moments at home or wherever you are to become active. Whether it is you decide I'm going to do 5 sit-ups today, if you're in a wheelchair and you want to move more with your arms, you can do this, but you have to start. You have to start. And once you start, I assure you, you will attract so many more to you.
All right. Dr. Kitty?
All right. And I would just like to say, to know that we are here for you. There are resources that are here for you. There are people that are volunteering and giving up their time. The thing is, like Erin said, you have to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. And social media has made so many more of us more accessible. And so, reach out to us, Handling Your Health, Wellness, and Rehab. You can leave me a DM just if you have questions about it. If we have enough people with asking for the same thing, we can come together at the HBC. Erin and I can create programs and workshops and seminars through the HBC to answer these needs and meet these needs. This is why we're here. We want involvement. We want engagement. We want you to become active. And we're more than ready to start that for you. In our field, we say exercise is medicine, right? And I say if you rest, you rust. And if you don't move it, you lose it. So please, 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 young people, take care of this one body that you've been given. It's the only place that you have to live, and we're here to serve. It's been my pleasure sharing with you guys.
All right, ladies, it was tremendous having you on the show, and I look forward to the shows that we will do in the future, the near future, and also I see some different little segue shows we could do. So many great things that we got to dive into. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on another edition of The Youth Perspective, Season 5, ladies and gentlemen, and it's heating up because we have some great shows that's really going to be more health related, that's also going to be toward giving back to persons in the community, like the last 2 shows that we have had. And of course, we're joined by Dr. Kitty Adderley. She's Adderley. She's cool with me. The one and only Erin Brown, who we are looking forward to seeing in the Tokyo Paralympics in August 2020. All right, so mark it on your calendars so you can make sure, put the reminder in your phone. Erin is going to be on the triathlon.
Rapping the 242.
Yeah, representing the 242. She going to hold the flag. We can say it now. She can get the gold medal. We can put it out there now. And so we can watch her. We can support her as she goes out there and she does what it is that's in her heart to do. All right. And of course, represented this show by the Healthy Bahamas Coalition. And we're looking forward to talking with them much more. And as we help to make this Bahamas more healthy. All right. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. This is The Youth Perspective with yours truly, Keshagen Adderley.
I'm trying to be great, and I'm on my way. Way up, way up, way up. It's never too late, and I'm on my way.
I'ma leave my mark. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Ready, set.
I hope you enjoyed another edition of The Youth Perspective. Stay tuned for more interviews, more in-depth conversation, great music as we seek to encourage, empower, impact, and uplift our youth of this nation. Here on The Youth Perspective, we'll see you next time right here on The Youth Perspective with Keshagen Jamal.